It's unclear exactly how he's going to do this. His campaign says that he'll do whatever he can to chip votes away from Mitt Romney. They're very determined to have anybody but Mitt Romney win in South Carolina. But Jon Huntsman doesn't have a natural constituency here in South Carolina. His campaign does not have a lot of money, and he's taken the day off. So he got here on Wednesday. He did 2 events, and he did one again on Thursday morning. And he's off today. He's back in Washington, D.C. Meanwhile, Rick Perry, Newt Gingrich, Mitt Romney, all the other candidates are crisscrossing the state and holding a number of events. So it's not clear exactly how much he wants it. It's also not clear exactly what he can do to chip away at Mitt Romney's vote.
Well, very little. If he's taken the day off. I mean, even I know that if you take the day off, you don't achieve anything because it's a day off, right? That's you rest. And you'd think this would be like that you take the day off the day after all the primaries are done. My goodness, this is really funny. Now, we were looking earlier at the sort of the latest average of the pollings from Real Clear Politics, and Jon Huntsman's down there 3.5%. I got to believe that's fairly close to the margin of error, i.e., fairly close to 0. Taking the day off, how's he going to do anything?
Well, he's not doing anything, and that's not going to do anything to help get his poll numbers up. He's in the single digits, as you mentioned. He's within the margin of error. Yesterday, he was talking about how, he seemed to be getting a little bit beyond the margin of error, but still, that's not going to do anything to chip away at Mitt Romney's vote in this state. When he does come back, and he's going to come back on Saturday, tomorrow, his campaign's going to focus on the coastal regions of the state where there's more moderate voters, where there's a lot of transplants from the Midwest. They think that that's a place where he can pick up some votes. But it's really unclear exactly what his strategy is heading out of South Carolina, because after South Carolina, as you know, they move on to Florida. And for a campaign that doesn't have any money, it's very hard to compete in a large state with Florida that has multiple media markets, is very expensive. Mitt Romney's been up on the air there for days and has an infrastructure there. And it's not clear that Jon Huntsman would actually be able to do anything even in Florida, but that's what his campaign says that they really want. They want the field to be narrowed coming out of South Carolina. And they want to Huntsman to have the ability to go more toe-to-toe with Mitt Romney. But as far as, the numbers are not showing that that's a very viable strategy.
So he has no money, and he's taken the day off, and he may get to the coast. He may get to the beach, I think is another way of saying that, and try and do what he can. What about him just saying, you know what, I give up? And anyone who supported me, please back one of the other candidates that could possibly knock Mitt Romney off the top, one of the two leaders, the second and third place, the leaders of the rest of the pack. I mean, wouldn't that be a strategy that might actually stand more chance than going to the beach?
That might be, he's not ready to do that yet, according to him. It's unclear. A lot of people speculate that he may have ambitions for 2016, and that keeping his name out there for as long a time as possible could help him in that effort. And so, his plan currently is for him to come back here to South Carolina on Saturday and to get back on the campaign trail. And his campaign says to try and chip away at Mitt Romney's vote.
Now, he was part of the Obama administration as ambassador to China. How's that playing in South Carolina? Has that become an issue?
It's a lot less of a friendlier place to be if you're Jon Huntsman, South Carolina is, than New Hampshire. Yesterday, he took some questions from voters, and he has to, he speaks frankly about his service in the Obama administration as being ambassador to China because he has to, because it's sort of the elephant in the room. And people didn't really press him on that, but they did press him on questions about foreign policy. And this is where he thinks that he can stand out. And in many ways, he is well qualified in that area. But for a state that really is unhappy with Barack Obama, that leans heavily Republican, having served in the Obama administration, even in a position as ambassador to China, is not a good position for him to be in.
It doesn't sound like it. And of course, in the New Hampshire debates, he presented himself as a moderate when criticized for being in the Obama administration, and saying, look, that's just what's wrong with this country. We need more conciliatory moves. We need more less partisanship. We need more working together. How's that going to play with Republican voters in South Carolina? Do they like moderates?
It's just not. No, these are not kinds of mostly moderate Republicans, a very conservative state. It doesn't play well. This is not New Hampshire. And it was interesting yesterday, he was talking about how he had to shake his New Hampshire accent and take on some Southern accent. And that sort of went over flat among the group. It was meant to be a joke. But, South Carolinians, they take their politics very seriously, and it's a conservative Republican electorate. And it's very unclear exactly what his constituency will be here.